Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Storm, and today we're going to talk about professionalism in the workplace. What is professionalism? Why is it important? And how can you be a true professional in your place of work? So, what is professionalism? Well, some people might think that dressing correctly, um, or being nice, or having all these advanced degrees or certifications is professional, and that's true. That does in, those are included in professionalism, but professionalism really covers everything, your entire state of being in relation to your workplace. It's a collection of attributes and attitudes and behaviors that come together to make you stand out from the rest of your coworkers. Um, Being a professional means that you are um, constantly advancing the business you work for, and helping the people around you, and improving yourself as well. So, specialized knowledge. So, first and foremost, professionals need to be good at their job. Okay. If you are a professional, you are somebody who has specific knowledge your company needs to utilize in order to do better, right? And to engage more customers, or sell more products, things of that nature, right? If professionals make a deep and personal commitment to themselves, improving their skills, and they have degrees and certifications to back up their qualifications. Professionals, that usually with a professional, there's no um, there's no question about their ability, whether or not they can handle the work that they've been given. Um, so not all business areas have a stable core of knowledge and academic qualifications that go with this. Essentially, uh, some areas just kind of rely on people to just be able to do certain things, and some areas don't, right? Not all areas demand extensive knowledge to practice successfully, and not all professionals have top degrees in their field. But professionals are the ones who they work in serious, thoughtful, and sustained manners um, uh, in order to master the knowledge they need for their specific job, right? They're constantly up to date with the new trends in their chosen career field, and they're consistently striving to become better employees so that they can always provide value to their employers, to the companies they work for. Competency, right? Professionals just get the job done, right? They're reliable. If a boss asks you to do something, if you are a professional, they'll know that you will do that to the best of your ability. It will be a good final product. It will be done on time. You will meet or exceed their expectations, right? If circumstances do arise that prevent professionals from delivering on their promises, they manage expectations up front, and they do their best to make the situation right. So, if I'm given a task by my boss and I'm a professional and I don't meet the expectations, or I know that I'm not going to be able to, deliver on time or whatnot, I am upfront about about that situation with my boss. I don't try to hide it. I don't lie. I don't blame someone else. I take responsibility, and I let them know what I'm going to do to prevent this from happening again, and what I'm going to do to fix this problem right now. The bottom line is professionals do not make excuses, right? They are solution oriented people. They do not care about excuses. They don't make excuses for themselves. They will only seek to make the situation better, no matter who's at fault, right? Honesty and integrity. This kind of goes with competency, but these are special categories that need to be talked about, right? Professionals do not lie. They don't. Okay, if I'm working with you and I lie to you about something, then that shows that I cannot be trusted. And if you have an employee that can't be trusted, then they're not. You can't use them properly in the way you need to, right? So professionals exhibit honesty and integrity. They keep their word, and they can be entrusted implicitly because of this. If I tell you I'm going to be here at a certain time, or if I tell you that I'm going to do something, I don't need my boss to constantly be worrying about whether or not I'm going to pull it off, right? I just need them to know, hey, I said I was going to do it. They know it's going to be handled, right? Um, Professionals never compromise on their values. They do the right thing even when it's difficult. Right? If the wrong decision, um, that's not a good way to put that. Let's put it this way: if a professional finds themselves in a situation that is morally compromising, they will do the right thing, even if it means they look bad or they lose money or you know, some other negative outcome arises because of it. Um, Professionals have values and they stick to those values and they let their moral compass guide them into making the proper decision. More than all these, though, professionals are humble, right? Um, you can you can be you can have all these other qualities, um, but you can lose out on professionalism if you brag too much, or if you think that you are better than everyone else, if you think you're special, if you don't pay attention to the needs of the people around you. Um, if you get a bit too much up in your head, you can lose professionalism because people just, quite frankly, don't like people who are cocky, essentially, right? And professionals will make it known if something falls out of their out if a job or a project falls outside the scope of their expertise. They're not afraid to admit, hey, I've never done this before. I'm willing to learn, but it may be better if you find someone who has done this and has experience in this area. But if you want me to do it, I'm perfectly happy to take on that challenge. And professionals, they ask for help if they need it. They're not willing, or they're not afraid to admit that they're outside of their scope of experience. Um, they're willing to learn from other people. If someone obviously is better than you at something, a true professional uses that resource for what they are, right? They're a mentor. They're a wealth of knowledge and experience that you have access to, and you can gain as much information from that person as possible, right? So they're willing to learn from others, they're willing to get help, and they're willing to admit when they don't know something. Accountability. This is huge. Professionals remain accountability for their own thoughts, their words, their actions, especially when they've made a mistake, right? It's easy to admit that you did something right. It is really difficult to admit when you've done something wrong. Professionals are able to do this in a way that makes people respect them and not look down on them, right? Um, Meaning they don't they refrain from negative talk about themselves even when admitting mistakes. So there's a big difference between, hey, I screwed this up, guys. I'm just terrible at my job, and I just don't know what I'm doing here. I'm a fraud, and everyone hates me. Right? There's a big difference between that and, you know what? I apologize. I made a mistake. That's my fault. You know, what can I do to make it better? Or here's a solution so that we can avoid this kind of mistake in the future. Right? They admit mistakes, but they're willing to move past it and try to focus on results as opposed to, I want everyone to feel sorry for me, right? Um, Personal accountability is closely tied in with honesty and integrity, because it's really hard to be honest about yourself, especially when it comes to flaws or mistakes that you've made. And if you're truly accountable, you're not shoving your mistakes on off to someone else. You're not trying to blame someone else for bad things that are happening, right? I'm not, you know, uh, I'm not meeting with my boss about something negative that happened and spending 20 minutes talking about how it's my coworker's fault because they didn't pull their weight on this project or whatnot. I'm taking responsibility for what happened and I'm trying to find solutions to move forward. Loyalty. So if you think about a company or workplaces like a small tribe or a family, um, you know, tribes, families, small close-knit groups of people, they rely on loyalty, right? You need to be loyal to the group above all else. You need to make sure that your decisions improve the place you work for, right? And improve the lives of the people around you. Loyalty to the group is the complete opposite of loyalty to yourself, right? You don't want to be loyal to yourself. People who serve themselves over others, they may get, you know, they may get some benefits in life, but in the long run, they lose out on a lot of what is true and rich and good about this world, right? You want to serve others, you want to live to serve others. And if you're working at a company and you don't like the products they sell, you probably should find a new company to work for, right? Because if I'm working for a company, I'm going to use their products. I'm going to uh, advocate for their products every time the conversation comes up. I'm going to try to improve the overall um, the overall view of this company, of this business when I'm out in the wild, in the real world, right? I'm also going to maintain loyalty with my coworkers, right? I'm going to be willing to work with them. I'm going to be willing to help them to become better because I understand that everyone in my workplace, if they're all improving, if they're all getting better, then that means we as a group are getting better. And it makes our company better. It makes our workplace better. Um, if I'm offered a better position outside of the company and I have to leave, you can leave. Loyalty doesn't mean that you can't find a new job somewhere else. Um, but it's always best to do that in a way that still maintains that integrity and honesty and loyalty. Self-regulation. This is huge, right? I know a lot of adults that cannot regulate their own emotions. They can't regulate their own behaviors. Um, they get angry too easily. They're too tempted to gossip with one another. They're too tempted to talk negatively about other people they work with. They kind of fold under pressure. You need to learn how to regulate yourself, right? Whatever you have to do in order to keep yourself mentally and emotionally intact, so that you can do your job most effectively. Do that. Get a hobby. Improve yourself. Read. Ride a bike, get some good exercise, whatever it is that you need to do to balance yourself properly, eat correctly, have a good social life, whatever it is, you need to find out how to do that. Because if you come into work and you're just barely hanging on emotionally or mentally, as soon as come face to face with an irate customer, or Nancy in accounting who's always making fun of people's shoes, or whatever it is, your calm business-like demeanor is going to crumble, and you're going to say or do something that you regret, right? Genuine professionals show respect for the people around them, no matter what their role or situation. If someone comes in and I just don't like their face, it doesn't matter. I'm going to respect them and treat them just like everybody else, right? If I have a coworker that, I don't know, just annoys me for no reason, I just can't put my finger on it, but they annoy me, I'm still going to treat them with respect, and I'm going to communicate with them in a professional and courteous manner, so as so that they never know that I have that opinion of them, right? Um, True professionals exhibit a high degree of emotional intelligence. They consider the needs of others, they consider the emotions of others. They don't let a single bad day impact how they interact with colleagues or with customers, right? If you're having a bad day, fine. Confide in friends and family. Don't bring it into the workplace. Managing conflict. So sometimes it is going to happen, right? You're going to have some kind of conflict. Workplace conflict is essentially when you have one or more employees that have opposing views from one another. Now, this could be from management to employee, employee to employee, employee to customer. Any combination can have some kind of conflict. You're not always going to have the same opinion as everyone you work with. And so it's important to understand how to manage that conflict appropriately and professionally. Okay. Um, One of the best ways to manage conflict is to try to not take business decisions personally, right? If someone else's idea for a project is chosen over yours, that's fine. All right. Get over it. Whatever you have to do to get over it, get over it. It's not personal. It's not a personal indictment on you. Don't let it shake your self-esteem. Take the constructive criticism and move on. Make the next project proposal you put up there even better than this one, right? Um, Sometimes managers and businesses have to make decisions that are best for the company, and they can't really account for what you want, right? Your ego, your emotion needs to stay out of the equation as much as possible. If you do that, then your opinions never get soured by negative feelings. And so if I have an opinion that's different from one of my coworkers, if I'm not emotionally invested in my position, and if I'm willing to really truly respect my coworkers and listen to their opinions, then it's much easier for me to see that, oh, maybe that is the best decision and we should move forward with their idea instead of mine, right? So you need to make sure you um, try not to take these decisions personally. Try not to let your emotions cloud your decision making. Looking the part. None of this means anything if you come in looking like a bag of trashes, a trashes of bags, a whole bag of all of the trash cans, right? Just don't look like garbage when you walk into your place of business. You need to be dressed appropriately, and by appropriately, I don't always mean walk in wearing a tuxedo, right? If you are working in a maintenance center where you're fixing cars, you definitely don't want to wear a three-piece suit, right? Khakis and a polo are fine, or whatever it is that you need to use to wear in order to be professional for the environment you're in. Um, what you always must make sure of is that you groom yourself properly. Okay, keep your hair professional. Don't come in with uncombed hair if your hair is long. Make sure it looks like you've taken a shower in the last 3 eons. Shower regularly, brush your teeth every day, floss, all that stuff that you're supposed to do. Wear deodorant. Um, Dress is extremely important, though. If you work in an office, it's best for you to wear, depending on, male and females are different, but wear something that is professional looking. There's an old adage that says, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And that's sure, that's probably true. But if everyone else around you is wearing, khakis and a polo shirt, wear khakis and a polo shirt. If everyone else around you is wearing slacks and a button up and a tie, wear slacks and a button up and a tie. And, every once in a while throw a suit jacket on just to stand out a little bit. Don't be that guy who's always, or that girl who's always trying to one up everybody. Your job here in the dressing the part of the equation is just to kind of blend in with the overall culture of the workplace. Okay. And the reason why this is important is because other people will definitely view the way you present yourself as a direct reflection of your work, right? If in the military we had a saying, if I can't if I can't trust you to wear your clothes properly, how can I trust you to do some of this life-threatening and highly, dangerous stuff I want you to do? If you can't come into work with a shaved face or with your hair cut in regulations, how can I expect that you're going to be able to make the right decision when you need to, right? So your the way, how you take care of yourself is a direct reflection on how much you focus on your work. Greetings. This is very important, just like everything else in this slideshow, but this is probably the one that gets overlooked the most. Everyone knows you're supposed to dress well. Everyone knows you're supposed to not lie. Everyone knows you're not supposed to gossip about people around you. But how many people do you know actually give a professional, courteous greeting with their coworkers, right? How many of you know people who just never smile? They're constantly, straight faced or maybe always in a bad mood. That kind of makes you think less of that person, right? Smiling is huge. It's very important. If you're smiling, then it puts people at ease. It makes you look more likable. Tend to want to spend more time with you. They feel less threatened by you. Um, uh, People feel generally good around someone who's smiling and in a good mood, right? When you're giving people a handshake, when you're handshaking, it's really important that that you are actively participating in this process. By that I mean, don't just, give a limp handshake and kind of look away and just do it just to get it over with, right? If you're giving someone a handshake, it is a personal one-on-one interaction between you and that other person. They need to actually exist, right? So when you're shaking that person's hand, look them in the eye, smile, greet them. That's a small little interaction where you and that person are the only people that matter at that time, right? Make them feel special, right? Make them understand that you see them and you are happy and you're willing to listen to everything they have to tell you, right? This is just part of being a decent human being, right? Just listening to others and paying attention to them. Communication. Communicating with people in the workplace is kind of an art. It's a skill that you will build over time. It's uh, it can set you apart from your peers, obviously, but it also tells people about your personal dedication. If you make an effort to be impeccable with your word, to say what you mean and mean what you say, and to ensure that everything that you send in an email or in a report is written professionally, is clear, is concise, it's free from spelling, grammar, and syntax errors. If you ensure that you do that, then for one, your ideas can be taken more seriously, right? People take you more seriously as a person. Um, if you're communicating with someone one on one and you are listening to what they're saying, you're responding to what they're saying appropriately, you're using proper grammar when you're speaking, then it shows that, again, you have a commitment to them and you have a commitment to yourself and making yourself better, right? One of the best ways to communicate effectively is to be self aware, to understand what you're saying, pay attention to how they react to what you're saying. Really think about what you're going to say before you say it. If you're just spouting off at the mouth and just kind of, how many times have you ever found yourself in the middle of a sentence and then you think, why am I saying this? What am I saying to this person? Why am I saying it? Right? Don't put yourself in that situation. Think about what you're going to say. You know, consider all of the things that are going to happen because of the statement you're about to make. Um, it's really important to be aware of what you're thinking, of what you're saying, how you're coming across to other people while you're communicating with them. So self awareness is key. So, in conclusion, right, this is a lot of stuff to really consider, right? But professionalism isn't just it's not just a list of things you need to do. I mean, it can be that, but that's just the start, right? You can follow all these tips, you can follow all these rules, and then you might just have the wrong attitude, or you might, I don't know, a million things can happen to make you look unprofessional. So professionalism isn't just a skill, it's an entire personality. You can be a professional person or you can be an unprofessional person. But you have to cultivate the professional side of yourself in order to make it stand out more. When you're in a workplace, if you are behaving professionally over a long enough period of time, you can be considered a professional, right? You must be able to shift between professional and unprofessional whenever you need to, right? When you're at work, you're professional, but you don't want to be a professional when you're around your friends and family friends and family. You want to be personable and light and fun, but you don't have to be super professional and buttoned down all the time, right? So it's important to understand how to change back and forth. And this takes a lot of time and practice to master this idea. You need to practice professionalism every chance you get. When you're in school, you need to be professional. When you're talking with your teachers, treat them like you would treat a manager at a workplace, because that's essentially what they are. They're there to help you achieve a desired result, and they are in some position of authority over you. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, no, ma'am. These things are they're small details, but they're huge in the long run, right? Shaking hands properly, smiling, being appropriate, not making jokes that might be risky. These are all huge when it comes to giving off the, how do we want to say it? Giving off the version of you, putting that version of you out into the world, right? You wanna demonstrate who you are in this context. It doesn't mean this is who you are all the time, right? You can be a professional at work or in school, yet still go home and be silly and do stupid things. That's fine. That's okay. It's just in the specific context of professionalism, or in the specific context of a workplace or a school, it's best if you try to practice professionalism, because this is something you need to build over time, and you need to get better at it by practicing it. And this is going to set you apart from your peers. People are going to like you more. You're going to be able to promote faster. Um, this is just going to make your life a whole lot easier if you dedicate yourself to being professional in the workplace. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to let this lecture sit there. You have plenty more resources that I've given you in the, I think it's week 3 resources. This is week 3, right? Yeah, I think it's week 3. In the week 3 resources tab in Canvas, there are plenty of resources there. You can dig through and learn even more about professionalism, but I'm going to leave it there, and I will say thank you for paying attention, and I will see you next time.